This is what we're fishing. There's been a lot of bait here. And see about 35 feet. So the way I like to fish these is I don't really concentrate on these fish here. What I'm concentrating on the ones that are going to be under. No gear, nothing, just get on the boat and full service, you know. Little kid, have you ever catch a bass before?
I think we caught one when I was like 5.
How big was it?
No. Maybe calico.
Calico? Okay, we're gonna start off right here. Okay, Kev, you ready, bud? Yeah?
Good morning, Mr. Kev. Ready for some bass fishing?
Right here, please don't get
Yeah.
this. This is what we're fishing. There's been a lot of bait here. And see about 35 feet. So the way I like to fish these is I don't really concentrate on these fish here. What I'm concentrating on the ones that are going to be under. Here's a big spot of bait. And a lot of times these fish are full of shad or they're full of crawdads. We're fishing some hard bottom right now. There's a lot of crawdads or shad swimming around, you know. Just gonna give it a shot and see what happens here. If it goes all the way down, you'll get fish on the bottom here. But what I like to say is the fat kid never chases the ice cream truck. You got a bunch of little fish chasing this around. You get the ones that you want to catch underneath, and they're probably eating the ones that are getting beat up and injured. And what's nice about this, I got this Minn Kota, it's got the spot lock. It'll just hold us on a waypoint here. We're gonna hold here, it'll hold us within 2 feet. You don't have to do a thing. That's the new Minn Kota Ultrex. Got that from Eric's Tackle.
Fred here is going to take us out and show us. He got us on our first spot. It's a beautiful, quiet morning. I'm the loudest one out here as usual. But Fred's going to give us some information, man, break it down to us. We got about a half a day's fishing, tell you about his guiding services and what he does for small groups like this, you know, and what he could do for you out here fishing. What's up, Fred?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, Fred Klinshaw fishing guide here at Lake Casitas. We fish 365 days a year. Located in Ventura, California. 805-630-0160. Call anytime, text, and let's go fishing. We're going to start off on a drop shot, and a perfect drop shot rod is generally a 2-power 7-foot rod. This is the older model of a Powell Inferno. Also, what we're going to use is the brand new Endurance, which is a 7-foot 3 rod. Yeah, it's a 732. It's also a 2-power rod. Ultra sensitive. With the type of fishing we're going to be doing today, you need a very good rod. If there's something that needs to be cheap on it, make it your reel, but never your line or your rod. You need all the sensitivity. You need to feel the bottom. A couple of lines. What we're going to use here is this is a fluorocarbon. Doesn't matter what brand, just find the one you like. But this is 8-pound test, and this is Gliss line, and it's from Ardent Outdoors. And we're going to use Gamakatsu drop shot hooks. We're just going to use wacky rig worms, and we're going to fish very slow and see what happens and go from there. We'll let the fish tell us what to do. We're just going to go right through the center like that. It's called a wacky rig. And what is super important when you're doing this here is you're going to cast. Nice moderate cast. As soon as it hits, close the bail immediately. And don't do it with the handle, do it with your hand. The reason we close it when we make the cast is too many times I'm bit on the way down. I do a crank like this and boom, he's there, and it's a 3-4 pounder. And it could be the difference between winning or losing a tournament. You feel the boat rocking, and we're moving around a little bit. And with this line with no stretch, any movement whatsoever is going to make that worm do what it needs to do. So you don't need to do much. Got it? And then deck's yours. Now, one other thing too is you see This is called an acute angle. You'll learn that when you start doing math and the geometry in school. You never want your line and your rod to have an acute angle. When you got an acute angle like that, you get a bite, you got no leverage to swing. You go to swing on them and you're going to be like this. So you always keep your rod tip pointed at your line and come like that. And when you got a 90-degree angle like that, that's time to go back in like that, okay? Because you never know when that bite's going to come. It could be here or here, and if it's here, you still got the leverage to swing on them. You get bit, anything feels weird, swing, all right? Swings are free. If there's no fish there and you swung, big deal. But if there's a fish there and you didn't swing, you're not going to catch them. Yep, and just let it sink.
Looking forward to catching some fish here. Junior's in the water. Got a fish going here. Fish on. You keep your drag a little loose so they could run, right?
Well, it's 8 pound, you know. Let's get him in here and get a look. There you go. That's a Lake Casitas bass there.
Beautiful fish.
Yep, drop shot fish, can't go wrong. And he was barely hooked, so that's the importance of a 2-power rod like I was talking about earlier, because it's got the right tip. You keep that thing loaded, and if he's barely hooked like he was, well, it's got kind of a shock absorber in the tip. Let me show you. I'll put him in the box and I'll show you what I mean. You got the backbone on these power rods, these drop shot rods. They don't bend here, but the tip does, just the right tip. That's basically a shock absorber, and this will hold the fish on and be able to muscle them in, but this will keep the hook in them and keep it from slipping out. If it was too stiff and you got any slack in the line, he's gone. They have a hard mouth. So that's why you see a lot of times when they swing on them, you know, they put it all into them. You're not going to hurt the fish.
I see that on TV a lot.
Yeah, you got to sometimes.
I noticed that. See?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of the bass fishing tournaments, you know, the professional bass fishing, and I've been watching bass fishing on TNN where I first started watching Bill Dance and stuff, and I noticed that there's one dude who fishes with the yellow gear all the time, man, and his pole, and I always wonder why is it so noodle, but that makes complete sense because it's really keeping that tension on the hook, which is going to drive it into keep the hook set.
Yeah, especially on the smaller hooks like that. If you look behind here, let me show you. A lot of these lures that we're using for bass, like a jig, for instance, you know, you got a nice big hook there. I mean, that's a big hook. That's a 4/0 hook. And look how heavy it is too. And you know, generally with something like this, I'm using 17-pound lines, so you could really muscle into it. You know, you could really push into it. Now, if you look at this rod, you're doing 65-pound braid. Look at the tip on that. It's a broomstick. I'm pulling really hard. But what this is designed to do is you're going to throw this in lily pads and weeds and everything. It's virtually weedless. You need something strong enough to pull them out. So I got 65-pound braid here and a broomstick rod. You know, it's actually this is a frog rod specific for frog fishing. When you hook that fish, a lot of times you're just hanging on and you're pulling, and you're pulling, and this is cutting the weeds, and then when he gets free, then you can crank him right in. You'll notice a lot of bass fishermen, I mean, you look in this locker, it's ridiculous. There's, 20 rods in there, but they all have their purpose. You can also see what's tied onto some of those things. There's spoons, there's crankbaits, there's worm rods, and I use them all.
So Fred, how long you been guiding now?
Well, I've taken it serious in the last 5 years, but probably 20, I mean, friends, family, people I meet. But it became a business about 5 years ago here at Lake Casitas, exclusively Lake Casitas. We have a saltwater operation too, but I'm mainly here at the lake.
My biggest bass here at Lake Casitas, I think, was 4.8 at Sunken Island, but it's not really sunken no more, right?
No,
the way that the water's pretty much evaporating here at Lake Casitas. It's down really, really low. There's a drought in this area, which is important because the people that live around here locally, Ojai, I think all the way down maybe to the avenue, Oakview, this water is their drinking water, so it's an important resource.
It's been some time since it's overflowed the dam. It's been over 10 years, but the lake is probably about 70 feet low, and it got that way pretty quick. we've had some good rains, and the rain came back, brought it up at almost 20 feet at one point, maybe 2 years ago, but it's already back below that again. The square miles of the lake is still up there. I mean, you come down to this lake and you drive up and you see the North Shore and you think, oh my God, it's super low. But, well, it is low, but you're also looking at the shallowest part of the lake, so every foot it moves out a whole bunch. But you come down, you get on the water, and you won't be able to tell the difference, It has not affected the fishing, in my opinion. All it's done is change the fishing. The structure's different. Some of our waypoints that we had years ago are high and dry, and we're finding stuff we never even knew existed in this lake.
Do you mark those spots so when it does start to fill up again over time with the rains and stuff we get, that you got some nice little honey holes, as we call them, in the salt water?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. We find, a funny story is I had what I called a tree, and I called it my tackle box, because I'd get good fish out of there every single time, but I lost a lot of tackle. And with the water receding, it finally came out of the water, and it was not a tree at all. It was just a little tiny stump, and there was always 2 or 3 fish on it, and I didn't find any of the lures. But what's funny is as the lake's dropping, you're finding all this stuff, tires and...
I heard they found a school. Wasn't there like a school that that was sunk, that they found
There's more than a school. Ago? Yeah, this Highway 150 runs right through the center here.
So you made a comment to us when we rolled up immediately, when you take your people out on guided tours and stuff, right? Everything, you provide everything.
Absolutely.
You provide it all. You say just bring a license and some sunscreen, and that's about it?
That's all you need. You don't even need the sunscreen. You got plenty of surface sunscreen on deck. We got waters, light snacks, all the tackle. You just show up with your fishing license and we'll fish.
Getting pampered out here. So similar, you hear us talk about on the podcast and the radio show and stuff like that is, we like to show you the guides and services that go along with fishing. And this is like the same thing, except for if you were to come, let's say, on a sport fishing boat, it might be a little bit more crowded. Getting used to it here. I call it intimate because there's only a couple of us, right?
Yeah.
So you get a chance to really learn more. It's almost like a tutor compared to a teacher with a classroom. If you're getting started, like a classroom on a boat, 30 students per class, as opposed to out here, you really got a one-on-one with the tutor and the instructor, so you're more likely to...
Yeah, I could expand on that too. Some of my favorite trips are people who've never fished before, and I get a lot of them. I absolutely love them because... well, just think back. A lot of you have caught plenty of fish, and you're after the big one. But it's always those first few that you just, they're shaking, you're laughing, you're having such a good time, and I really get a rush out of putting people on that. I've guided from the beginning all the way to FLW Bass Pros, and I cater to every single anybody wants to fish. They could be disabled, they could be a pro, they could be their first time, they're not sure. We'll take care of you. We got the gear for it. I got the knowledge to put you on fish. We could fish really hard. We could fish an hour. We could fish 8 hours. We could fish 12 hours. Whatever you want. It's generally a 4 or 8 hour trip, and we usually start at 7 a.m. and go till 11 for the half day, or 3 o'clock for the full day. But we could start earlier when the lake opens, or we could start later. We can go longer. It's just whatever you need, we can do. And we target bass generally. That's my thing. I'm a professional bass fisherman, so that's what I fish. But I fish absolutely everything. I'm actually a saltwater fisherman. But you want to go fish bluegills, crappies, trout, catfish, we do it all.
I'm gonna try to catch a bass. Junior's fishing hard. He stays in the water. He's one last cast guy for sure. One more cast, Dad. One more cast, Dad. So
that's the best.
Yeah.
Notice my arms. They're not even going to move much, right? It's just a golf swing or a baseball swing, just something nice and smooth. I don't even need to look. So if I'm using all arms and not rod, it's not going to cast like that. But another thing, as soon as it hits, close the bail. Immediately, always, close the bail. Even deep water. If you're fishing deeper water, make a longer cast, close the bail, and let that thing pendulum all the way down. Once you're on the bottom with the slack, all you're doing is taking up that slack. And I'm sitting here like this. Look, I'm not even really moving that rod much. Just me talking like this. Remember, we got low stretch lines, so any kind of movement up here transmits all the way to the bait. But if your line's tight, you're going to feel the slightest little tick. So it wasn't even doing anything. Too many times guys will cast and reel, and they won't get.
Okay, I have a couple of questions here for Fred, because I'm always a loud one, but the sounds of the lake fishing, if you fish a lot by yourself, I mean, fishing's fun and catching and everything, but the smells out here in the lake, man, tell them about, you know, the backdrop. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, so one of the things we were talking about just a second ago is the advantages of using a guide at a lake. The advantages of going on a sport boat or with a guide in freshwater is they're going to put you on the fish generally. They're going to tell you the gear that you're going to use. They may even supply the gear, they supply the bait, and they're going to get you fishing. When I go out of state and I'll fish a lake, I always hire a guide, because although I fish bass, those bass in that lake may be biting a different way. They may be deep, they may be shallow, we may be fishing heavier line or a lighter line. Well, let me just put it this way. If I went to Texas and I went to go fish like Lake Travis or something like that, I can find fish, but that lake, it may take me half the day to figure it out. And then it may take me another quarter to figure out even better, and then I'm really only catching fish the last couple hours. I go with a guide there. He takes me right to the spot he was at yesterday, and he's showing me the technique that they caught him, and we're on fishing the first hour. Today when we started fishing with Kevin using this technique, we got a fish in the first 20 minutes.
Pro.
Yeah.
So my question was, as you have somebody that's fresh, never fished before, that he does a lot of that type of guiding for, they listen more as opposed to somebody like us, again, that fishes a lot and, you know, kind of, you know, repetitive telling us, but he's the pro, so we got to follow his guiding services to help us catch more fish. But I think sometimes when you have people that don't, first timers, they pick up the lessons quicker, you know. And again, me working on boats as a deckhand, I could see that. And guys that come out and fish, sometimes we overfish, right? We go through the tackle box and we try this and that. And I can say that for sure with Junior, because I'll be trying R&D and new lures on the boat. This guy will stick to the bait and what the deckhands tell him. And he's putting fish in the bag while and that's why he usually outfishes me, because, you know, but I'll blame it on R&D, right? I'm doing research and development with a product. I mean, the sounds out here on the lake are just...
Or lack of sounds.
Let's hear. See. Wow, and look at that behind us. The sun coming in, breaking through the clouds. The smell of the sage, the trees, the dirt. Catch memories out here. I'm gonna catch a bass now.
Okay, so this is what we're looking for. This is ideal. This is bass under bait.
So Junior was bit, and they stole his worm.
Yep.
Thought he had the bottom. He wasn't ready to swing on it.
Wacky rig.
There you go, son.
Yep.
What do you think so far?
It's hard. It's like not as easy as we used to.
A little bit more strategy to it, huh? Well, we got the right guy to help us out, so follow his instruction and get you a bass, son.
You gotta set, and you know how you were going like this when you were reeling in? Don't do that. Once you set, hold it there and just keep cranking. Yeah, try it again.
Junior lost another one.
You gotta get a good hook set, and you gotta keep your rod still. Don't give them any slack whatsoever.
0 for 2.
Yeah.
How'd that one feel, son?
At least I actually hooked that one a lot more than the other.
The sun's coming out, man. It's great. Couldn't ask for a better day. Flat and calm. Move locations. Fish are on the fish finder. Just not really eating. A lot of bait in the water. The shad minnows. But it's great. Look at, got the clouds burning off in the back. Catch memories, catch a bass. It's different than fishing for bass, man, huh? How was that, son? Started pulling line on you? Started fighting back? Yeah, set the hook. So again, Fred's walking him through everything from the casting to the jigging to the patience to make sure that Junior catches his first fish. His first bass anyway, out here at Lake Casitas. But this is great. A little bit more time left. Junior's gonna get one. If he outfishes me, that's fine. That's my best guy. I've caught bass in here, but I want to make sure he gets one. So we're good. Fred's doing everything he can up there fishing with him, showing him what's going on. And Junior's gonna keep casting till he catches his bass. We bassin'. Lake Casitas. Fred Klinshaw fishing. Let's go. You had one, man. Seen it.
You might catch that fish, you try a couple more times, no, but there could be another one here and another one here. You could pull 5, 6 fish out of a spot like this. You want to just kind of pick it apart. There you go. Good. Let it sink down and see what we
He said, "I've never seen a worm swim that fast." So you want to present that bait just like an actual worm would be hanging out down there. So make it look like a worm. Dance a little wiggle here and there. You know, you don't see worms kicking like this here.
Junior, let's go get you a fish, kid. Full concentration. Okay. Nice tight line. Be ready for him. He gives you a little nibble. You're just gonna sit there and wait for a minute, let him have it, and when it starts to get heavy, then give it to him. Okay.
Nice and slow. So on that retrieve, just let it sit there.
As long as your line's tight, you're good.
Alright, you look at all the birds?
Yeah, look at all these birds. See the egrets on the beach? They're all lit up.
Fish number 2.
Yeah. Decent fish. Oh, he's not ready. Yeah, he's not ready. He sees the net. He's probably seen it before. And that's it. See, these are shad-eating fish. Look how thick they are. Got good shoulders. Look how these are healthy bass. Healthy Lake Casitas bass. Yeah.
There they are, Junior. Look
Yeah.
just like that.
That's straight down, Junior.